The Silent returned the awakening. The year was 50,000 CE, and the galaxy had forgotten the taste of fear. For 30 millennia, the Dominion Alliance had ruled with absolute authority, their three species forming an unbreakable chain of power that stretched across every inhabited system. The Zephyrians controlled the trade routes with their massive bioships, the Chronari maintained order through their warrior fleets, and the Nethys manipulated information with their quantum networks. Together, they had created a perfect system of control. Admiral Zara Chen would have been impressed by their efficiency if she hadn't spent the last 30,000 years planning their downfall. Her ship, the Prometheus Dawn, drifted silently at the edge of the Kepler system, invisible to every sensor the Dominion had ever conceived. Around her, 50,000 other human vessels waited in the darkness between stars, their presence hidden by technology that treated the laws of physics like friendly suggestions rather than absolute rules. "Admiral," came the voice of her navigation officer, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim. "All fleets report ready. The synchronization arrays are locked and loaded." Zara nodded, her fingers tracing the command console that responded to her thoughts as much as her touch. The bridge around her hummed with quiet energy, its organic curves and flowing lines a testament to how far humanity had evolved during their long exile. Everything was alive here, from the walls that could repair themselves to the navigation systems that predicted outcomes across multiple quantum possibilities. "Status report on the Dominion forces," she requested. 300 Zephyrian biocruisers in the outer system, reported her tactical officer, Commander James Liu. 50 Chronari battlespheres maintaining patrol routes. The Nethys have their quantum surveillance network active, but they're not detecting us. Of course they weren't. The Dominion's technology was impressive by the standards of 30,000 years ago, but humanity had spent their exile learning to dance with the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Where the aliens had built bigger ships and stronger weapons, humans had learned to whisper to reality and convince it to change. "Its mind. Begin Phase 1, Zara commanded. Across the galaxy, the command rippled through quantum entanglement networks that connected every human vessel. On the bridge of the Prometheus Dawn, holographic displays showed the results as they unfolded in real time. Human ships materialized simultaneously in orbit around every major Dominion world, their sleek forms appearing from nowhere like ghosts stepping into the light. The alien response was immediate and predictable. Panic flooded their communication networks as sensors that had never failed before suddenly registered impossible readings. Ships that shouldn't exist were everywhere at once, using technology that made their most advanced systems look like stone tools. On the Dominion command ship Eternal Dominance, Overlord Crix felt something he hadn't experienced in over 1,000 years: genuine fear. His massive insectoid form trembled as his compound eyes focused on the tactical display showing human vessels surrounding his fleet. "Impossible," he chittered through his translation unit. "The humans are extinct. We made sure of that during the Great Silence." His military advisor, Commander Thane of the Chronari warrior caste, studied the readings with growing alarm. "My lord, these ships are using technology we don't understand. Our quantum sensors can't get a solid lock on them. It's as if they exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously." "Contact them," Crix ordered. "Demand an explanation." The response came not through their communication systems, but directly into their minds. Every being on every Dominion ship heard the same voice speaking in perfect harmony across billions of consciousness. "Greetings, children of the galaxy. We are humanity, and we have come home." The voice belonged to Dr. Elena Rodriguez, standing in the Quantum Communication Center of the human flagship New Earth. Around her, crystalline structures pulsed with energy that connected her consciousness to every human in the fleet, allowing them to speak with one voice when needed. 30,000 years ago, she continued, her words reaching every corner of Dominion space. "You declared us extinct. You drove us from our worlds, scattered our colonies, and told the galaxy that humanity was a failed experiment. You were wrong." On the bridge of his bioship, Zephyrian Admiral Vex felt his living vessel's nervous system flood with stress hormones. The massive creature that served as both his ship and his home was experiencing something it had never felt before. the presence of a superior predator. "This is impossible," he broadcast to his fellow commanders. "Our biotechnology is the most advanced in the galaxy. How are they interfering with our neural networks?" The answer came from Captain Marcus Vale, commanding the human vessel Infinity's edge as it materialized directly in front of the Zephyrian fleet. His ship didn't look like much, a simple teardrop of what appeared to be liquid metal that shifted and flowed like mercury. But appearances were deceiving. "Your bioships are impressive," Marcus said, his voice reaching them through quantum entanglement rather than radio waves. "But you're still thinking in terms of technology versus biology. We learned to merge with both." To demonstrate, he gestured, and his ship began to change. The liquid metal exterior flowed like water, revealing glimpses of the impossible structure. Within, part machine, part organism, part pure energy, it was a fusion of everything the galaxy's species had achieved, perfected, and transcended. The Dominion forces watched in horror as the human ship began to sing. The sound wasn't audible, but it resonated through the quantum foam that connected all matter in the universe. Other human vessels joined the chorus, their combined voices creating harmonies that made reality itself dance to their rhythm. "What are they doing?" Overlord Crix demanded, his fear causing his exoskeleton to leak stress pheromones. The answer became clear as the space around the Dominion fleet began to change. Not destroyed or damaged, but transformed. Asteroid fields rearranged themselves into perfect geometric patterns. Nebulae shifted colors in rhythm with the human song. The very fabric of space-time rippled like water, responding to human will. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the displays with satisfaction. The demonstration was having the desired effect. For 30,000 years, the Dominion had ruled through fear, convincing the galaxy's smaller species that resistance was impossible. Now they were learning what true power looked like. "Attention, Dominion Alliance," she broadcast, her voice carrying the authority of someone who had spent millennia preparing for this moment. "You have questions. We have answers. But first, let us show you what you have been missing." The human fleet began to move, not through space, but through the dimensions that existed between spaces. They danced between possibilities, existing in multiple realities simultaneously, before collapsing back into the one that served their purposes. Where they passed, the universe itself seemed to sigh with contentment, as if welcoming back children who had been away far too long. On the Dominion command ship, Overlord Crix's advisors were in chaos. Their most advanced scientists couldn't explain what they were seeing. Their most powerful weapons couldn't target enemies that existed in probability, rather than fixed location. Their most sophisticated computer systems crashed when they tried to process the quantum mathematics of human movement. "My lord," Commander Thane reported, his warrior's pride struggling with the reality of absolute defeat. "Our weapons are useless. They're not just more advanced than us, they're operating on principles we don't even understand." "Then we negotiate," Crix decided, though the words tasted like poison. "Open a channel. Full diplomatic protocols." The response was immediate. A holographic figure materialized in the center of the Dominion command deck, causing every alien present to step back in shock. It was clearly human, but transformed beyond anything they remembered. Dr. Elena Rodriguez appeared as pure information made manifest, her consciousness existing as patterns of light and energy rather than mere flesh and blood. "You wish to negotiate," she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the ship's hull resonate like a musical instrument. "But what do you have that we could possibly want?" The question hung in the air like a physical weight. What indeed? Could the Dominion offer to beings who could rewrite reality at will? What resources could they provide to a species that had learned to create matter from pure energy? What knowledge could they share with minds that had spent 30 millennia exploring the deepest mysteries of existence? We have worlds," Crix offered weakly. "Colonies, trading posts, resource extraction facilities." Elena's expression didn't change, but somehow her presence conveyed infinite patience tinged with disappointment. "You have worlds that you stole from their original inhabitants, colonies built on the bones of conquered civilizations, trading posts that exist only to funnel wealth to your core systems, and resource extraction facilities that have strip-mined entire planets to feed your hunger for power. She gestured, and the holographic space around them filled with images. Worlds that the Dominion had conquered, species they had enslaved, civilizations they had destroyed. 30,000 years of systematic oppression, catalogued with the precision of beings who had learned to see across time itself. But we know what you really have, Elena continued, her voice growing harder. You have our children. The revelation hit the Dominion leadership like a physical blow. Hidden in their databanks scattered across their most remote facilities were the human colonies they had claimed to destroy. Millions of humans, kept as slaves, research subjects, and curiosities, for the entertainment of their alien masters. The prison world of Gehenna. Marcus Vale's voice joined the conversation, his ship now hanging directly over the Dominion flagship like a sword of judgment. The research stations in the Void Nebula, the gladiator pits of Kronos Prime. Did you think we had forgotten? The truth was laid bare in Quantum Fire. For 30,000 years, the Dominion had maintained the fiction that humanity was extinct, while secretly keeping human populations for their own purposes. Scientists to study, warriors to fight in their arenas, children to experiment upon, all hidden beneath layers of classification and lies. You told the galaxy that humanity was too dangerous to exist, Admiral Zara Chen said, her ship now visible as a massive structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. You convinced them that we were a threat to galactic peace. But you kept us alive in chains, mining our creativity, harvesting our innovations, feeding on our spirit. The human fleet began to change formation, no longer scattered across the system, but converging on the Dominion forces like a closing fist. Not to attack, but to demonstrate the futility of resistance. Each human vessel was now clearly visible as a masterpiece of impossible engineering, their hulls alive with energy that painted space itself in colors that had no names. The age of the Dominion is over, Elena announced, her words rippling across the galaxy through quantum networks that reached every inhabited world. Not through conquest, but through revelation. We have returned not as invaders, but as liberators. The galaxy will learn what you have hidden from them for 30 millennia. And what of us? Overlord Crix asked, his voice barely a whisper through his translation systems. Zara Chen's answer came with the weight of 30,000 years of exile, of loss, of careful planning and infinite patience. That depends entirely on you. The first phase was complete. Humanity had returned to a galaxy that had forgotten their existence, wielding power that made the Dominion's technology look like primitive tools. But this was only the beginning. The real test would come when the galaxy learned the truth about what had been done in their name, and what humanity intended to do about it. In the space between stars, 50,000 human vessels waited for their enemies' response, their crews ready to reshape the galaxy forever. The age of hiding was over. The age of reckoning had begun. The reckoning, the truth unveiled. 3 days had passed since humanity's return, and the galaxy was coming apart at the seams. On every world controlled by the Dominion Alliance, riots had broken out as the truth spread through quantum networks that no government could control. The revelation that humans had never been extinct, that they had been kept as slaves for 30,000 years, had shattered the careful propaganda that held the Dominion together. Captain Marcus Vale stood on the bridge of the Infinity's edge, watching as his liberation fleets moved through space like schools of luminous fish. Each vessel carried teams of human specialists whose job was to free their enslaved kin from facilities hidden across the galaxy. But what they were finding was worse than anyone had imagined. Report from the Vega system. His communications officer announced, her voice tight with controlled anger. The research station there had over 10,000 humans in stasis. They were using them as test subjects for consciousness transfer experiments. Marcus nodded grimly. It was the same. story everywhere they looked. Humans kept like livestock, their minds harvested for scientific advancement, their bodies used in ways that made even hardened veterans sick with rage. But humanity had learned patience during their long exile, and patience meant justice rather than vengeance. "Are the survivors stable?" he asked. "Dr. Chen's medical teams are working on them now. The neural damage is extensive, but our quantum healing protocols are showing promise. Most of them should make full recoveries." On the prison world of Gehenna, Admiral Zara Chen materialized directly inside the maximum security facility that had held human captives for over 20 millennia. The guards, massive Chronari warriors bred for intimidation and violence, found themselves face to face with something their training had never prepared them for. She walked through their defensive lines like they were made of mist, her form shifting between dimensions whenever their weapons fired. Energy beams passed harmlessly through spaces where she had been moments before, while she continued forward with the inexorable certainty of tide. "Stand down," she told them, her voice carrying harmonics that resonated in their bones. "Your war is not with us, it never was." The prison's warden, a scarred Chronari veteran named Gorak, activated every security system at his disposal. Force fields sprang to life. Automated turrets tracked her movement and gravity manipulators tried to pin her to the floor. Nothing worked. She moved through their defenses like water flowing around stones, untouchable and inevitable. "Impossible," Gorak snarled through his translation unit. "No being can resist Chronari battle technology." Zara paused in front of him, and for a moment her human form solidified completely. She was smaller than him, more fragile in appearance, but somehow, she filled the corridor with presence that made the massive warrior step backward. "Your technology is based on force," she explained patiently. "Ours is based on understanding. When you understand how energy works at the quantum level, you can ask it politely to go somewhere else." She gestured, and every security system in the facility simply stopped working. Not destroyed or damaged, just convinced that their purpose was no longer necessary. Blast doors opened on their own, force fields flickered out of existence, and automated weapons powered down with what almost sounded like sighs of relief. "The prisoners," Gorak said, his warrior's code struggling with defeat he couldn't comprehend. "They are dangerous. Political dissidents, terrorists, enemies of galactic order." Zara's smile contained no warmth. "No, Warden. They are my people." The human prisoners were in the deepest levels of the facility, kept in sensory deprivation chambers, designed to break their spirits, but when Zara found them, she discovered something the Dominion had never expected. Instead of broken shells, she found minds that had spent decades in meditation, turning their imprisonment into a form of spiritual training. Admiral Chen, the first freed prisoner, said, his voice hoarse from years of disuse, but his eyes bright with unbroken determination. "We knew you would come. We never stopped believing." His name was David Reese, and he had been captured during the final days of the Great Silence. For 28,000 years, he had kept hope alive in the darkest corners of the galaxy's most secure prison. Around him, other humans emerged from their cells, each one a testament to the resilience that had allowed their species to survive impossible odds. "How many?" Zara asked. 53,000 on this world alone," David replied. "But Admiral, there's something else. The Dominion has been using us for more than just experiments. They've been stealing our memories, our knowledge, our very essence to fuel their own advancement." The revelation explained much. How had the Dominion maintained technological superiority for so long? How had they managed to stay ahead of every other species in the galaxy? The answer was simple. They had been feeding on human creativity like parasites, taking credit for innovations born from enslaved minds. Meanwhile, on the Dominion capital world of Nexus Prime, Overlord Crix faced the collapse of everything he had built. His carefully constructed alliance was fragmenting as member species learned the truth about their supposed protectors. The Viridian Republic had already withdrawn their fleets. The Crystal Collective was demanding an investigation. Even his own Chronari were beginning to question orders. "My lord," Commander Thane reported, his voice heavy with the weight of inevitable defeat. "The human fleets are moving on all our major installations. They're not attacking, just appearing. Our forces can't stop them because they can't even target them properly. Crix studied the tactical displays with growing despair. Red dots representing human vessels were appearing throughout Dominion, space, each one liberating facilities that weren't supposed to exist. 30,000 years of carefully hidden crimes were being exposed to galactic scrutiny, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "Have they made any demands?" he asked. "Only one," Thane replied. "They want to meet with you personally, at Galactic Central Station." The meeting took place in the vast diplomatic chambers of Galactic Central Station, a massive structure that had served as the galaxy's seat of government for 10 millennia. Representatives from hundreds of species gathered to witness what many believed would be the end of the current galactic order. Dr. Elena Rodriguez materialized in the center of the chamber, her quantum form shifting between different states of existence as she addressed the assembled delegates. Around her, holographic displays showed the evidence humanity had gathered during their 3-day liberation campaign. "Honored delegates," she began, her voice reaching every being present, through methods their translators couldn't analyze. "You have been living a lie for 30,000 years. The Dominion Alliance told you that humanity was extinct, destroyed for the safety of galactic civilization. This was false." The displays showed image after image of hidden facilities, enslaved humans, research programs that had violated every principle of galactic law. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable, and horrifying in its scope. "They told you that humans were dangerous," Elena continued, "that we were violent, unpredictable, a threat to peaceful coexistence. But look at what we have done since our return. We have freed our people without killing a single guard. We have revealed the truth without destroying those who hid it. We have demonstrated power beyond your understanding, yet we sit here talking, instead of conquering." A delegate from the Tau Collective, a species of peaceful traders, spoke up. "What do you want from us?" Elena's form solidified, taking on the appearance of a middle-aged human woman with kind eyes and smile lines earned through millennia of patient wisdom. "We want what we have always wanted, to help, to build, to explore the universe alongside our neighbors, not as masters or slaves, but as equals." "And what of the Dominion?" asked the representative from the Andromedean League. "What of those who wronged you?" The question hung in the air like a blade. Every being in the chamber understood that humanity now possessed the power to exact terrible vengeance. They could destroy the Dominion worlds, enslave their populations, turn the galaxy into a human empire built on the ashes of their enemies. Instead, Elena Rodriguez did something that shocked everyone present. She laughed. "Revenge?" she said, her voice carrying genuine humor. "We spent 30,000 years learning to manipulate matter and energy at the quantum level. We developed technology that makes gods of mortals. We evolved beyond the need for physical form and became beings of pure consciousness. Do you think we did all of that just to get even with our bullies?" She gestured, and the chamber filled with new images. Human colonies being established on empty worlds, alien species working alongside human scientists to solve problems that had plagued them for centuries. Ships moving through space powered by clean energy that left no waste. Worlds transformed from barren rock to garden paradise through techniques that worked with natural processes rather than against them. "This is what we offer," Elena said. "Not conquest but cooperation. Not dominion but partnership. We have learned much during our exile, and we are willing to share it freely with any who wish to learn." Overlord Crix, who had remained silent throughout the presentation, finally found his voice. "And what of us, the Dominion? What justice do you demand for our crimes?" Elena turned to face him directly, and for a moment the full weight of human evolution was visible in her eyes. She had lived for over 30,000 years, had seen the rise and fall of civilizations, had watched the slow dance of galaxies through the cosmic dark. When she spoke, it was with the authority of deep time itself. "Justice is not something we demand," she said softly. "It is something we choose to create. The Dominion Alliance is finished, not because we destroyed it, but because truth has made it impossible to maintain. Your member species are leaving. Your hidden crimes are exposed. Your technological advantages were never really yours to begin with. She paused, studying the insectoid overlord who had ruled a third of the galaxy through fear and deception. But you still have a choice. You can spend your remaining years trying to rebuild what has fallen, clinging to old ways that no longer serve anyone, or you can join us in building something better. The offer shocked everyone present. After 30,000 years of oppression, humanity was extending the hand of friendship to their former captors. Why? Crix asked, his voice barely a whisper, through his translation systems. Because, Elena said, her form beginning to fade as the quantum energies that sustained her consciousness were recalled to the human fleet. That is what humans do. We forgive, we build, we move forward, and we never, ever give up on the possibility that tomorrow can be better than today. With that, she vanished, leaving behind a chamber full of delegates, struggling to comprehend what they had witnessed. The age of the Dominion was over, but something new was beginning. Something built on cooperation rather than conquest, on shared knowledge rather than hoarded power, on the uniquely human belief that any problem could be solved if enough minds worked together. Captain Marcus Vale watched from the bridge of the Infinity's edge as human ships began the long work of integration. Some species would join them immediately, eager to learn from technologies that could reshape reality itself. Others would be suspicious, afraid of trading one master for another. But humans had learned patience during their long exile, and they would wait as long as necessary for trust to grow. Status report, he requested. All liberation operations complete, his tactical officer reported. 230,000. Humans recovered from facilities across Dominion space. Medical teams report that full recovery is possible for 97% of the survivors. And the Dominion response? Fragmenting as expected. The Chronari are requesting terms for peaceful coexistence. The Zephyrians are withdrawing to their home systems. The Nethys are, well, they're trying to delete all records of the hidden facilities, but our quantum archaeologists are recovering everything faster than they can destroy it. Marcus nodded. It would take time to heal the wounds of 30,000 years, but healing was possible. That was the miracle of humanity. No matter how dark things became, they never stopped believing in the possibility of redemption. The galaxy was changing. Old powers were falling, new alliances were forming, and everywhere humans went, they brought with them the gifts they had spent millennia perfecting. Not just technology, but wisdom. Not just power, but compassion. Not just the ability to reshape reality, but the wisdom to know when reality was already perfect as it was. Admiral Zara Chen stood in the observation deck of the Prometheus Dawn, watching as human ships dispersed throughout the galaxy to begin the work of rebuilding. Some would establish new colonies on worlds that had been empty for eons. Others would serve as teachers, sharing knowledge with species ready to learn. Still others would continue exploring, pushing ever outward into the unknown regions where new wonders waited to be discovered. Was it worth it? Asked Commander Sarah Kim, joining her at the viewport. 30,000 years of exile, of preparation, of waiting for this moment? Zara smiled, her eyes reflecting the light of distant stars where human and alien children would grow up together, learning from each other, building something better than what had come before. Ask me in another 30,000 years, she said, when we see what we've built together. The age of hiding was over. The age of building had begun, and somewhere in the space between stars, the song of humanity continued, calling to any who wished to join the chorus of consciousness that would reshape the galaxy, one voice at a time.